Hi, I'm Bill Bishop. I'm the Big Idea Coach. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're having a great day so far. So, today we're going to talk about three amazing things that I think are going to really blow your mind and be very helpful to you as a financial advisor. The first thing is we're going to start looking towards the future. What's your business going to look like by, let's say, 2030? What's that going to look like? And I can tell you right now, with the advent of artificial intelligence and all kinds of other things like that, that it's going to be a lot different than it is now. But you need to have a plan to get there. The second thing I can talk about is the power of big ideas. And a big idea is something new, better, and different that you can offer your clients that they won't be able to get anywhere else. And this is going to put you in a very, very powerful position and help you generate a lot more revenue for your company. In fact, over the last 25 years, we've worked with 1,800 advisors, and by our estimations, those advisors have generated more than $5 billion in new kinds of revenue for their companies. One example, one of our clients, Rick Scruggs, he has a program called the Abundance Business Coaching Program. And he has the members of his program paying him $50,000 a year to be in his program. This is new kinds of revenue that he's generating for his firm that never existed before. So very, very exciting. And the third thing I'm going to explain is a methodology that you can use to come up with your big idea and package it and then get it out in the marketplace. So this is the culmination of the work we've done over the last 25 years, and you're going to learn a whole bunch of things. So if you want to grow your practice, I'm going to talk about, things that people try that never work. I've seen so many things like that. And I'm going to share with you 10 things that they're doing that really made the difference. So that's why this might be good, because it might save you literally 25 years of trial and error. You don't have to do that. You just have to watch this video. So the video is called The Big Idea Advisor. So that's what you're going to become, a big idea advisor. And you're going to be in a very, very rare group of advisors. Most advisors do a great job for their clients, but they essentially do exactly the same thing as every other advisor. And it's all very generic and frankly kind of boring to the marketplace. So like I say, everybody's doing a good job, but they haven't packaged up what's exciting about what they do. So they don't get the kind of clients they want, and they don't make the kind of money that they could. So by following this approach, you can actually increase your income by up to 11 times. This is what I can't promise it will happen because I'm not in control of everything you're doing. But I can tell you that if a lot of the people that have done this have achieved that, if not a lot more. So, and it's all about packaging your big idea. So that's what I'm going to share with you. Now, a few years ago, I met with a financial advisor. He was from North Bay, Ontario. I'm in Toronto, which is about, North Bay is about 6-hour drive north of Toronto. But he'd come all the way down to my office to meet with me. We had a very good meeting, and I said, you know what? I said, from what I gather, you're running a hot dog business, which means that you're selling commodity. You're doing what most people do. You have hundreds and hundreds of clients, and you're generating a lot of activity, but you're really not making that much because the margins on every sale are actually pretty small, and you got a lot of overhead. Now, he wasn't completely convinced by that metaphor. He said, no, I've got a really great business. I said, okay, fine. Maybe it's different for you. So he went back to North Bay, but about 3 weeks later, he called me. He said, I got to come back and see you because I realize that I'm running the most successful hot dog stand in North Bay, but I don't want to do that anymore. And I said, why is that? He said, well, a buddy of mine who has a similar kind of company is mine, a financial service firm. He just sold this huge life insurance policy. And so now he's taking the whole summer off and he's just having a great time and he's not working. Meanwhile, I'm going to have to work all summer long. And, and I said, well, why didn't you get that big sale? Why did he get the big sale? And he said, I was too busy running my hot dog stand. I wasn't keeping my eye out for the big gourmet customer. So I need to figure out how to make the shift from having a hot dog stand to having a gourmet kind of level business so I don't miss out on those kind of opportunities going forward. So he started to get the power of that metaphor. So in order to go from having a hot dog stand to having what I call a gourmet practice, I'm going to teach you big idea game changers, I call them, to 11x your income. So they're game changers because they are different from the game you're playing right now. So one of the things I've noticed from all these advisors, they're all playing the same game. They're following the same rules. They're following the same process. They're selling the same products. And so they're playing a game, and it works for a few people, but it doesn't work for most. It's a very crowded game. So these are game changers. So that's the challenge of this, that I'm going to be suggesting you do something different. But it's the opportunity, because when you do something different that works, then you're going to be way ahead of the rest of them. Okay, so I'm going to teach you those game changers. And I'm going to explain to you the number one thing that advisors do wrong when trying to 11x their income, or scale their business. And I've read all the books about 10x your business, 10x this, 10x that. Everybody's on this 10x thing about scaling up your business and so on. And there's one fundamental flaw in everything they're saying. And it's a fatal flaw, actually. And I'll explain that in just a minute. So hang in there for that. So what are big ideas? Well, big ideas are something new, better, and different that take everything to a much higher level that your clients will only be able to get from you. But actually, really, to simplify that, they're just new ways for you to make money. But better kinds of money, because it's more profitable. It has a better profit margin than how you normally make money. Okay, so these are new ways and better ways to make money. So I'm thinking you might be interested in hearing how that goes. So as I said, big ideas are game changers. We're gonna change up the game. And what the goal is here, if you want to take it on, is to do three things. And one is to earn 11 times more income, as I've mentioned, but also work 50% less. And that's a really important thing, because you're already working enough, right? I just talked to someone today, and she's working 11 hours a day, actually, and working like 6 days a week just to kind of keep it all together. And she's trapped in this hot dog system. So I suggested that she starts working on something else so she doesn't have to work as much. But also to have 100 times more fun doing what you're doing. So you might enjoy what you're doing, but a lot of it probably isn't that much fun. So that's not good, because that's not a sustainable thing. And who wants to live that way anyway, right? So what we want to do then is figure out how you can have 100 times more fun doing what you do. Now that's obviously hard to quantify, but I'm saying a lot more fun, right? Really, really enjoy it. So this isn't just some academic thing I'm going to explain. This is based on our work with 1,800 advisors. And we, like I say, we came up with new ways for them to make money. And as we've estimated, around $5 billion of new revenue, kinds of revenue that they generated. Not just make more revenue, but make revenue in a new way, new ways of making it. Now, as you're listening to this, you might consider signing up for a big idea conversation with us. And that's a free session that we can do after this video, after you watch this. It's 60 minutes. And what we'll do is we'll help you come up with your big idea for free. Okay. And all the examples I'm going to show you were all created in that free session. So anytime during this session this presentation you want to book it, go right ahead, and you could just use the link below in order to book that time with me. Okay. It's also, these ideas are also based on my books, such as How to Sell Lobster, The Problem with Penguins, New Factory Thinker, and my most recent book on AI, Dancing with Robots. So this is stuff that I've been really putting together for quite a while as educational content. So, if you're interested, you might want to check out some of those books on Amazon if you want. So what's the number one thing that advisors do wrong when they're trying to scale their business? Now, this is indeed for people who want to scale their business, right? They want to grow it. They want to get more clients. They want to do bigger work. They want to have more assets under management. They want to sell more insurance policies. And they're trying everything they can. But there's one thing that they do wrong. Is that they keep playing the same old game. They keep running the hot dog stand. So the issue I have with all these scaling up books and 11x and 10x is better than 2x and etc. Is it's not addressing the hot dog stand. It's basically saying, here's strategies to sell more hot dogs. And so that's not going to really get you anywhere, because as you get more and more clients buying hot dogs, your business just becomes more and more complicated. And actually, in some cases, you just blow a gasket and the whole thing collapses because you just can't manage it anymore. So that's a dead end game. The other thing is, when it comes to something like AI, is that that's where AI is going to focus on replacing advisors that sell hot dogs, because it can be much more easily automated than other things. So it's a very bad idea to grow your business just to think, I'm going to try and sell more hot dogs, get more assets under management, sell more insurance policies, get more clients in the door. That isn't actually the way to go, okay? Because you're just making the problem worse. So what did the advisors who did grow their business, what did they do right? Well, as I've said, once again, is that they changed the game. They're doing something else. And what they're doing is that they are becoming a gourmet chef. So in the United States, last count, there were 440,000 registered financial advisors. And 99.9% of them make under $100,000 a year, and they have on average 300 clients. And then there's that very small, less than 1% group that make over $1 million a year. They have an average 50 clients, and they're making $1 million a year. Okay. And because they have a gourmet business, and all of them, for the most part, at one point had a hot dog business, and they figured out how to make the shift. But the rest of them never figured it out. They wanted to be gourmet, but they couldn't figure out how to do it. And they were too busy running the hot dog stand to ever get around to building like a gourmet kind of business. Okay. So that's what the successful advisors have done. They've gone from hot dog business to gourmet business. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Now, people sometimes ask me, how did you get your business started, Bill? And I say, well, it was kind of interesting because 40 years ago, when I was a student in university, I had a part-time job at a steak restaurant. And they had this contest to get the waiters to sell the customers a lobster with their steak. So they'd order a steak, and then you were supposed to talk them into also having a lobster with it. And there was a big profit in that, right? So that was the contest, and I won the contest. I sold 1,400 lobsters, and the second waiter sold 90. So I kind of wiped up. And the manager and the other waiters and even the owner of the restaurant chain were asking me, how are you doing this, Bill? How are you able to sell? And I said, I can't tell you because it's a contest. And I never did tell them until I wrote my book, How to Sell Lobster. And so I'm going to tell you how I did it, but not until the end. Okay, so I'm going to leave you in suspense. But the most important thing about that was that I learned 3 really important things about sales and marketing that I took into the rest of the marketplace and helped people come up with ideas like that, which I ultimately called big ideas. So that was my first big idea, was how to sell lobsters. And so that's where it all began. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, the most important thing about all that was that I didn't play the game that everyone else was playing. The game that everyone else was playing was when a customer ordered a steak, they'd say, would you like to have a lobster with your steak? And when it was presented that way, like a sales thing, then most people said no. That pitch turned them off. So I go, well, there's no point in me doing that because that's not working. So I changed the game up and I said something different. And that's what made people buy it. I didn't change the product. I didn't change the price. I just changed what I said. I played a different game. Okay. So that really was a huge lesson for me because at that point, I really hadn't sold anything before. And I realized, you can sell a lot of stuff if you're kind of clever about it. Just don't play the same game as everyone else. So now I'm going to go through these game changers. And frankly, they're going to challenge everything you've ever done or thought about business. Okay. So be ready for that. But that's the whole point. Okay. I'm saying, okay, you got this far, but maybe going to the next level, you got to play it differently. Right. So that's why I'm showing you these things. So the first one, as I've said, is simply to play a new game. So you're going to keep playing your old game. So let's say you play golf, but I'm going to then suggest, well, maybe you could also play tennis or even invent your own game, some kind of new game like pickleball or something. Okay. So you can create your own game. That's a really important thing to remember. You don't have to follow all the same rules. So Rick Scruggs, he's a financial advisor in Virginia. He's been doing his firm for over 40 years. He'd been playing the same game for a long time. And then he decided he wanted to get into the private business owner market. And we created with him the Abundance Business Coaching Program. So when he goes to see a prospect, he says, on a basic level, I can be a financial advisor to you. But on a more advanced level, I could be your business coach. And you can do our Abundance Business Coaching Program. And we have a whole special methodology for doing that. And he's been able to sign up dozens and dozens of business owners to his program. And as I said, he charges $50,000 per member to be in that program. That's some serious money. And then that's not even including the financial products. So he's playing a different game than everyone else in Virginia, if not in the States. Like he's playing a totally different game and it's working really well, right? And like I say, he hasn't given up the old game, all right? So that's the first thing, is just to consider doing more and something different than you've been doing before. So the second game changer is to keep selling your hot dogs, but also add a gourmet meal, okay? And I keep going on about that metaphor because it actually is very good. I used to, before the lobsters, I worked a whole summer selling hot dogs on the Toronto Island, and we sold probably 1 million hot dogs, right? So I thought, oh, the owner of this company is getting really rich. But then he told me, he said, no, it's not, I'm not getting super rich because I make about 5 cents on every hot dog. And because if I add in all the costs, then that's what's left. And I can't charge a lot because it's just a hot dog. And I thought, oh, that's a hot dog business. I see. He says, so it isn't really that great a business. Not terrible, but it's not great. But then there's the gourmet business. And that means that you have less customers, but instead of charging $3, you're charging $300, and the profit margin is like 80%. So you're making a lot of money on every transaction, and the transactions are much bigger. And people are coming to you because they can't get your meal anywhere else. That's being a gourmet chef. So we're all capable of that. And what I find it's really frustrating to see is that everyone's capable of being gourmet chef, but they go to work every day and sell hot dogs. So not only are they not making as much money as they could, but they're not providing all the value they could. And therefore, it's not as fulfilling or financially rewarding as it could. That's why I do this. So Frances Toller, she created a gourmet meal with one very simple ingredient. It's called a Mountain Vision. So she has the Mountain Vision program, and she tells people about it, and they say, what's that about? And she says, well, if you come and see me for the first meeting, which is free, I'm going to help you develop your mountain vision, which is like we're going to the top of a mountain and we're looking around a big view from there and seeing everything that's going on and creating a vision for your future. So if you are interested in that, we can have the first meeting. And she told the first person he told us about, said, that's what I need. I need a mountain vision. That's it. So it captured his imagination. And so ever since then, this is what she's been saying and doing with people. And it's a very, very powerful gourmet meal kind of thing that she's doing, right? No one else is doing that. And the gourmet ingredient is that the person ends up with this mountain vision. The third thing is to go beyond your products and become a wisdom advisor. So the problem with most hot dog vendor advisors is that the hot dog, the product, is the whole thing, right? It's not about you. It's about the hot dog, the product. What we want to do is make it about you and the fact that you have all this wisdom that you can share with people and that you're getting paid for that wisdom. That's the thing everybody really needs, is the wisdom that you have. And so Mark Pace packaged up his wisdom, and he calls it the objective review. So this going back a ways, it's been very successful. He's actually had 8,000 people do this. And what he does is he said, listen, for $1,500, I will review your life insurance policies and tell you whether you should keep them, change them, or get rid of them and get new insurance. And then if I tell you to get new insurance, you could just go somewhere else to get it if you want. You don't have to buy it from me. So for $1,500. So other advisors said, well, that's crazy. Why would anybody pay $1,500? He said, I'll do it for free. And they said, yeah, but you wouldn't be getting the objectivity. Because if they wouldn't be getting objectivity, because if you don't charge them for the advice, then they're wondering when you say, oh, you should buy more insurance. They say, well, of course you're saying that because that's how you make your money. But that's not what Mark's doing because he's already getting paid for his wisdom. And what's happened is 8,000 people have gone for that, right? But also when he said, you can go somewhere else to get this insurance, they said, why would I do that? I'm going to buy it from you. So he got that business anyway. But he's now seen as this objective, wise advisor because people have paid for it. You want to be a wisdom advisor. This is very, very important as part of being a gourmet chef. The next one is to become a platform advisor, which means that you really see your role as being like a hub or being like an airport. That's why I have that picture there, is that, you're helping people and resources come together to achieve, remarkable things. So you're in the middle of all that activity, right? And so you might be giving referrals to, other professionals. You might be connecting people together. This is good. This is a good start. But to see yourself as that can really, really put you in a very, very powerful position. So Nate Sachs, that's exactly how he sees it. Okay. So he has something called Blueprints for Tomorrow. And really what he's doing, he's bringing business owners together with other advisors and all kinds of resources. All right. He's got a platform business. And so what he does is he says to people, he said, look, you need to plan things for your business. You need to get some things done, like create a blueprint for a buy-sell agreement, for example. So he has this whole system for doing that. And he's packaged it up so that other advisors can deliver the same thing. So the last time I talked to him, he had about 140 other advisors that were licensing this from him. And he was bringing together the business owners with these other advisors and getting a piece of that action, and also referring the business owners and the advisors to a network of resources. So he really saw his business now as a platform. It wasn't just him out there just doing work for the clients. This is a huge way to scale your business, is that you're creating intellectual property, a process, and you're actually making that available to other advisors to do. That can become very powerful. The next thing is to assume a premium value position. And what that means is that you want to be the gourmet chef. Okay. So position below that is hot dog vendor. Position above that is gourmet chef. Another way you might think of it is like a plumber and an architect. Okay. And this is how people see things. They see things in a hierarchy. So you want to be at the top of the hierarchy in their mind, right? So Andy Wimberley, he says, listen, I have two things I can do for you: basic financial services, or a higher level thing called the discovery process. And that's where I'm really going to be like the architect or the, quarterback of everything that you're doing. And there's still, we have specialists at basic level, but I'm like the architect or the quarterback. And this is a very good positioning, because now people see, well, I really need an architect quarterback helping me, because I already have the plumbers. Okay. So his discovery process is a way of packaging that so people see him at a higher level of advisor, right? Higher level. So it's not about being the best advisor. It's being the one that's above all of them at a higher level. That's why I keep talking about being a gourmet chef. Next one is to build your business around a big idea, not financial products. So a big idea, as I've said, is something new, better, and different that takes everything to a much higher level that people can only get from you. Okay. And so this is very exciting part. And it's what I believe is the actual missing ingredient from most advisors' marketing, is that they're not talking about that. They're just telling people what basically everyone else is saying. I call that being a penguin. So Richard Harvey has a really cool big idea. He says, I have this program. It's called the Bucket List Program. And if you want to come to the first meeting, we're going to work on your bucket list. So I'm not going to ask you about your money. I'm not going to try to sell you an investment. I'm not going to try to sell you insurance. We're just going to work on your bucket list. So he's now known as the bucket list guy. And he's had hundreds and hundreds of bucket list meetings with people. And they created their bucket list. And when they have that, like they'll say, oh, I want to sail around the world before I kick the bucket. He said, okay, now if you want to be in my bucket list program, I'm going to help you do that. We're going to work on getting that to happen. All the ways necessary to make that happen. So the interesting thing he says is, where he, in his marketplace, all the other advisors thinks this is really silly stuff. And he says, I think that's great because now they're not going to do this. And I know it works great, incredibly well, because I got a big idea. I'm doing something way different than they are. And it's packaged with this bucket list idea. And that's how he stands out, Pretty simple, really. Number 8 is to turn your clients into members. This is extremely useful. Not all your clients, your best clients. So what you're going to have is you're going to have clients and you're going to have members. Okay. And you say, well, if you want to have the basic hot dog, you can be a client. If you want to have the gourmet meal and pay us for that, then you become a member. So what do you want to do? You want to become a client or do you want to become a member? Now, if they decide to be member, which a lot of them will, there's so many benefits for that. One is they're totally bought into your program. Great. But they also feel special. They feel like they're getting things that other people aren't getting. So their satisfaction with what they're getting is much higher because they really appreciate it. They're also more likely to buy financial products. So members buy typically 3 times more financial products than clients do. And it's all because they have this membership consciousness. So they paid to be in a membership program, and therefore they think, well, now that I'm getting all this advice, I should act on it. And they buy the financial products that they need really without questioning. They just know that this is just part of being a member. So, and the last is that you'll get more referrals because when they're in your special program, like the bucket list program, they'll be telling their friends that you should be in the bucket list program too. And you should do a bucket list. You're not doing that with your existing advisor. And I'm a member of this program and you should be a member too. So that it's just a word, but it's a very powerful word, right? Has a lot of very useful connotations to it. So Brad Atoniuk, he's created the bridge building program. And so he tells people simply, if you want to do this program, you be a member. If you just want to do the basic financial planning and so on, then you can be a client. What do you want to do? And more of them are saying, I want to be a member. I mean, they come to him now because they got from a referral saying, I want to be a member like my friend. I want to be a member. So he would never go back to just having clients, right? And so turn your clients into members. Number 9 is to teach, don't sell. So advisors, even though they're called advisors, most of them are in the business of selling financial products. So it's kind of easy to fall into the idea that, well, I'm just really a salesperson and you use sales techniques to try to sell and so on. But the whole thing is a turnoff to prospects and clients. Like it's like me with the lobster. If you act like a salesperson, they're not going to buy the lobster. They're not going to buy the financial product. It's going to be, a few of them might, but it'll be hard. So instead, what you can do is you can be a teacher. And you can teach people very valuable things. And that's going to position you as an expert. But it's also going to teach them things that make them appreciate your gourmet meal. So now what do you teach them? Well, you could teach them all of financial things, but that kind of just reinforces the basic. So instead, what you do is you teach them the importance of your big idea, essentially. So with the bucket list program, let's just start there. You would teach them just from the marketing why it's really useful for your financial future to have a bucket list and the value of having that, and how to create a bucket list and how to follow up on a bucket list and so on, is just to teach them the value of a bucket list. Or Rick Scruggs with his business coaching program is to teach private business owners all kinds of strategies for being a successful business owner, right? And that's exactly what he did. So he created a book called What's Wrong with My Thinking, and it's targeted at private business owners, and it teaches them better mental approaches to being an entrepreneur. And this has been amazing for Rick, because now that he has the book out and he's a teacher, he's getting asked to speak at all kinds of conferences. So he's getting in front of hundreds of business owners now that he wasn't before, because he's a teacher, and that's what he's doing. So a lot of us don't think of ourselves as teachers, but everyone has a lot to teach. It's just a matter of understanding that and then saying, well, what is my advice that people need to hear? And to start packaging that up. So teach, don't sell. Number 10 is to automate and humanate. Okay. So we're all going to be facing the challenge of artificial intelligence. How do I use it in my business? You're going to be asking. How is this going to affect the marketplace and our industry? What's the future look like? So this is really looking towards the future now. And the best approach is to say, I'm going to automate as much as possible my hot dog stand. Anything I can do to make that more efficient, using things like AI and AI agents and just traditional delegation and so on, will be great. Okay, so you may even just delegate all of the hot dog clients to a junior advisor or something, for example. And then you humanate, which means that now you have a lot more time to go into much more depth with the best gourmet clients. And so this is the real promise now of artificial intelligence, is to automate the hot dog stand and to humanate the gourmet meal. So you actually have more time to spend with them. So that's what Byron Woodman does. He has the master plan. So his strategy is to automate all of the lower end activities as much as possible, and either eliminate, delegate, or automate. But automate now is big, a lot of potential there with AI. And then to humanate, which means that he's spending more time, and his other advisors, with the very, very best clients and helping them develop a master plan that looks at all their entire situation and pulls it all together into one holistic plan. And he charges a lot of money for doing that kind of planning. So this is actually what's going to happen, is the human advisors have a great, great future, as long as you're not trying to compete with AI on the hot dog level. So eventually AI will take over the entire hot dog market. The only thing that's going to be left are the human advisors that really have this figured out and have a gourmet package to put in front of people and say, this is why you need me as a human to help you. Okay, so that's something we're going to be talking about a lot more as the years go by, is about how do human beings survive and thrive in an age of AI that's doing a lot of the stuff that advisors used to do, and kind of on the lower end. So a bonus tip is just to package your invisible value. Okay. And why I say that is that most of the value you provide is invisible. So that's your wisdom, right? That's your good intentions. That's the fact that you care about your clients, right? That you're looking out for them, that you have a lot of things that you can do to just make sure their life is okay. All the connections you can make for them, etc. Right? This is your invisible value. And we tend not to get paid for that, or for people to really appreciate that, because they see you as someone selling a product, right? So that's why we package up these invisible things by giving them a name. So you'll notice they all These programs all have a name of some kind, and they have a logo. And they also have like all kinds of other packaging that goes along with it. But it's packaging up things so that they can, visible, intangible things, so people can get their head around it and really see it. Okay, so that's why this is ultimately about packaging. Packaging. So now I'll take you back to the lobster story, okay? Because it'll show you how this all comes together. And just think about this from the standpoint that your financial products are the lobster, okay? So as you remember, I won the contest. I sold 1,400 lobsters, and the second person sold 90. And what I did was I went up to the table. The first table I did it with was an office party of 20 people. And I didn't change the product. I didn't change the price. I just changed what I said. And what I said was, well, you have a choice tonight. You can have the basic steak, or you can have our special, which is a steak and lobster. So what do you want to do? You want to have the basic, or do you want to have the special? So there was a bit of a pause, and then they all said, I'll have the special, 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 special. 20 people ordered the special. That was 20 lobsters I could chalk up in my contest. Then I went to the next table and said the same thing. It was a birthday party, 6 lobsters, right? The next table was people having their anniversary, 2 lobsters, 2 specials. And I just kept doing that until I sold 1,400 of them. Now, one thing I liked about it was I wasn't pushing anything on anybody. I wasn't selling anything. I was just giving them choices. I was giving them a contrast between basic and special. That was kind of the key, right? Because then they had to decide. First thing was they had to decide what kind of person they were. Were they going to be a basic person, or were they going to be a special person? That was the choice I gave them. And nobody wanted to be a basic person if they could be a special person. So this packaging made them feel better about themselves, right? The second thing is, well, what kind of office party are they going to have? Are they going to have a basic office party, or are they going to have a special office party? If they have a basic office party, nobody's going to be having any fun, and half of them are going to want to quit the company and everything. Oh no, we're having a special office party. I love this company. I always love it. I'm going to work really hard, and I'm so appreciative of this special business because we're having a special office party. So once again, this contrast, this packaging added value, perceived value, to the office party. It made it special. So that led me to the third insight, which was kind of groundbreaking really for me. So I realizing, oh, you don't have to change the product to sell more. You don't have to make a better product or service. You just have to make a better idea that's attached to it, because it's the idea that they're actually buying. People actually buy products. They don't buy, ideas. They don't buy products and services. Like, that's like crazy, because that's not how most people think. They think, I have this amazing hammer I'm selling, right? But they have no idea what the idea people have about that hammer. They might say, oh, just another hammer. You're trying to sell me a hammer. I already have a hammer. There's a million places to get one. Right? So the idea sucks. The product's great. The idea sucks. But if you have a better idea attached to it, oh, you're going to be special. The office party is going to be special. I like that idea. I'm going to buy the lobster. So this is why this is actually quite easy to implement, because all we're doing is changing the idea that you're selling. We're not changing your business. We're not changing your products. We might create a new one, but really it's really a lot of things you're already doing already. But we're just packaging them up and then putting them out there with an idea that gets people really excited. And they see that this enhanced value of it because of the way it's packaged. Okay. So this is why this is very important work, because most advisors work really hard. They do a really good job for their clients. They have great products, but they're competing against 440,000 other advisors that are selling the same thing. and anything special about them is lost in that. So we want to take the special things that you do, package them up, give it a name, and put it out in the marketplace. And I can pretty well guarantee you that you're going to sell a lot more lobsters. Okay, so you can go from 4 lobsters to 1,400 of them. Okay, that's the promise here. So the question is, what's your big idea? What's the special thing you've got that will help you 11x your income? What is it? What is it? And everybody has one too. I mean, that's the thing. Like people say, well, I don't have one. What have I got? I haven't got anything. But what we do is in our big idea conversation, that's free 60-minute coaching session with me. We're going to come up with your big idea. Now we've done thousands of these, right? And people say, well, how can you keep coming up with new ones? Like, how's that even possible? I said, there's more big ideas out there than all the grains of sand in the world. Because everybody's got something really unique and special about them. It's just that they haven't packaged it yet. So I know that you have something special that you could bring to the world, that you could become a gourmet chef. And what I will do in that big idea conversation is I'll draw it out of you and we'll package it so that you can really see what you've really got there. Okay. So please, if you have any interest in this, schedule that free big idea conversation by using the link below. And we can set it up and it'll be great. And I'll send you a little homework. There's a little scorecard that you can do. It'll help you get it all started. Okay. So thanks for listening. Yeah, I actually have this QR code too. If you prefer to use that, you can just get out your smartphone, your camera, and just put your camera over that QR code, and that'll bring up the web page to book a time with me. So you can do that if you want. All right, so that's the Big Idea Advisor, and I hope that you've learned some important things that you can use. I believe you have, and I would really love to speak to you because I know that I could help you come up with your big idea, and that could make all the difference in the world, right? So please take me up on the offer if you like. So thank you very much for giving me your time and attention. I know you're a busy person, and I hope that you have a big idea day. And if you're so inclined, I look forward to having my big idea conversation with you. Thank you.